Let's talk about Mortal Kombat X in a way that I never thought I would be talking about in a video. Now, if you guys know me, you would know that I made it very clear throughout my live streams and throughout some of my videos as well that Mortal Kombat X isn't a Mortal Kombat game that I really like. I think Mortal Kombat 11 is a giant improvement from Mortal Kombat X overall in many ways, but I do have to acknowledge that there are some things Mortal Kombat X did better than Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11 has some of the things that Mortal Kombat X had, but Mortal Kombat X did it better. And in this video, we're going to be talking about those very things. Now, trust me, this is actually a very hard list to come up with, because when you're trying to compare something that you really like to something that you don't really like and trying to find the things that are better in the things that you don't like, that's hard. But I did come up with 5, and the first one we're going to be talking about is that I think overall the variations in Mortal Kombat X were more well defined in that game than they are in Mortal Kombat 11. So here's what I mean by that. In Mortal Kombat X, I think you know what you're getting in every single variation, and you know why specific moves are in that variation as opposed to why they are not in other variations. Talking about Liu Kang, for example, if you want to play a more classic Liu Kang, then you'll go for the Dragon's Fire variation. That one's a good variation if you want to go for more of a classic feel with the bicycle kicks and everything like that. In his Flame Fist variation, if you do want to do a lot more chip damage and get your opponent afraid to block, you pick Flame Fist. If you wanted a really good setup variation for Liu Kang, you'll go with his Duelist variation. In Mortal Kombat 11, I don't know why there are some moves in certain characters' variations. Now, for example, in Scarlet's first variation and her Heart Pierce variation, I literally do not know why that ritual move is in her variation. I don't know why it's in that Heart Pierce variation. I don't know what it's supposed to do, and it just seems like it's slapped in there. Like, I don't know why there are so many variations that have that kind of feeling that some of the moves are just slapped in there just to fill the slots up. I don't really like that, because who knows, maybe another move could have been better in that slot than that stupid ritual move that's actually a really bad move. So I just don't know what the heck is supposed to be going on there. Now, for a while before Sup's OD Cassie Cage got the buff, did anybody know what that variation was supposed to be? And does anybody know what Collector's third variation is supposed to be? Like, nobody, it's so bad of a variation that nobody even acknowledges that it's a variation because it's just so bad we don't know what it's supposed to be. I've been saying that so many times throughout this video, I think. However, in Mortal Kombat X, you know what you're getting with every variation. Cryomancer variation for a Sub-Zero and Grandmaster Sub-Zero and Unbreakable Sub-Zero are all well defined. Now, to be fair, it took a while for us to get really well-defined variations in Mortal Kombat X. It took until like maybe the last 2 patches of the game to where the variations were very well defined, because nobody knew what Unbreakable Sub-Zero was throughout the entirety of Mortal Kombat X's life, or the majority of Mortal Kombat X's lifespan. But towards the end, we know what it was supposed to be. So there is an asterisk to the Mortal Kombat X variations, but overall, in the end, Mortal Kombat X, I feel, has more defined, well-defined variations than Mortal Kombat 11, because there are a lot of variations in MK11 that seems like there are moves that are just slapped in there, and I don't really like that, because it just feels like the game was a little bit too rushed. Like, they didn't know what to do. Did they want to do variations, or did they want to do custom variations? Also, another thing that I think Mortal Kombat X did better than Mortal Kombat 11 is having unique intro dialogues for a lot of the characters. So in Mortal Kombat X, there was unique intro dialogues when you put on specific skins. Like if you did Revenant Liu Kang, there would be intro dialogues in the game that would have the characters acknowledge that this is an evil version of the character. And when you take off that skin, if you do a human Liu Kang skin, then none of the intro dialogues that acknowledge that this is an evil version of the character is in the game. Like, they will not say it. They will never say it in any of the matchups that you do. It is not like that in Mortal Kombat 11. If you put on Fire God Liu Kang, there will be intro dialogues between some characters that talk to Fire God Liu Kang as if he's Revenant Liu Kang.
Something tells me you're not White Lotus. I am the Lord of Death. I have a reputation to uphold.
And it just sucks because there are Revenant skins for characters that weren't even Revenants, like Revenant Johnny Cage and Revenant Sonya. Just imagine the cool what-if intro dialogues that we could have got if the intro dialogues were programmed the way that they are in Mortal Kombat X. It's just a huge wasted opportunity. It's a huge downgrade. And yeah, I'm very, very confused. I'm more left confused than disappointed because it just seems like a logical thing to continue. And sticking on the subject of intro dialogues, I think overall, the nature of the dialogue in Mortal Kombat X is better than Mortal Kombat 11 in this way, this specific way. And it's that I think Mortal Kombat X's intro dialogues were just much more interesting to listen to than they are in 11. Because in Mortal Kombat X, the intro dialogues sound like there's another story mode that we haven't seen, and that is a lot more interesting than the story mode that we got in that game. There were loads and loads of intro dialogues in the nature of Liu Kang coming back to life, or Liu Kang being an old person because his default costume is an older version of Liu Kang. There were a lot of intro dialogues that were in that nature, and they just seemed a lot more interesting to listen to because, again, it felt like there was another story mode that we just didn't see. Like, remember that intro dialogue between Sub-Zero and Borai Cho where they're talking about Noob Saibot in a way that's super intriguing and interesting?
I believe your brother still exists. What do you know of him? Only that he must remain unfound.
Unfortunately, that didn't go anywhere. And so, talking about Mortal Kombat 11, ask yourself, is there a story mode in there? Is the nature of the intro dialogues between all the characters, does it feel like there's like another story mode that's interesting to listen to? Now, frankly, it doesn't have to be that way. I'm glad that there are intro dialogues in Mortal Kombat 11. Overall, it doesn't bother me, but I just like the little feeling that Mortal Kombat X gave me that there was another story mode out there that seemed a lot more interesting. Okay, now the next thing I also want to talk about is I think the overall costume art style in Mortal Kombat X is better than Mortal Kombat 11's costume art style. Now, I don't like the majority of Mortal Kombat X's costumes. Like, I don't like MKX Scorpion because there are a lot of unnecessary belts all around Scorpion. I don't know why Scorpion needs all those belts. I don't know why Sub-Zero has a Marty McFly jacket. But if I'm comparing it to Mortal Kombat 11, where Liu Kang has a bunch of armor on his default costume and Katana has a whole bunch of unnecessary Injustice 2 armor all over her costume, if I'm comparing that to just at least trying to look like normal freaking clothes for Mortal Kombat characters that were in Mortal Kombat X, I will take the Mortal Kombat X stuff. Now, thankfully in Mortal Kombat 11, we have the option to switch to really good looking classic costumes, and we just got the classic UMK3 female costumes for the female characters in Mortal Kombat 11 that look absolutely amazing. But Mortal Kombat X doesn't have too much of that Injustice 2 armor art style that's really present in Mortal Kombat 11. It isn't as present as it is in Injustice 2, but it's still there, and it's not something that I really like because you don't need these characters to be super overly detailed and super armored up and stuff like that. And lastly, the thing that I think Mortal Kombat X does better than Mortal Kombat 11 is having some offline fun. Now, to be fair, I'm gonna be honest here, I really don't care for offline modes because I only play online. I'm a person who only plays stuff that requires online modes, online multiplayer. I'm an online guy, but I do acknowledge that not everybody has PlayStation Plus. not everybody has Xbox Live. Not everybody can get those two things. And not everybody wants to play online. Some people just want to pop in the game and just play by themselves. There are so many people who are like that, and I have to acknowledge that. I hear you guys. I understand that, yeah, there's not that many offline game modes in Mortal Kombat 11, but in Mortal Kombat X, you have a ton. In Mortal Kombat X, you have Test Your Might and Test Your Luck and many different towers. In Mortal Kombat 11, yes, you have story mode. You have 2 big story modes. That's a lot of offline content. I'm not saying that Mortal Kombat 11 doesn't have any offline content at all, but we have to acknowledge that not everybody is going to be constantly playing story mode all the time, and the only other option that we have is just the regular classic towers. We don't even have the crypt as an offline feature, and I really think that was a huge mistake, because Mortal Kombat X, the crypt is an offline feature. In Mortal Kombat X, you have Test Your Might and Test Your Luck and many different towers. In Mortal Kombat 11, you have 2 big story modes. That's a lot of offline content. I'm not saying that Mortal Kombat 11 doesn't have any offline content at all, but we have to acknowledge that not everybody is going to be constantly playing story mode all the time, and the only other option that we have is just the regular classic towers. We don't even have the crypt as an offline feature, and I really think that was a huge mistake, because Mortal Kombat X, the crypt is an offline feature. We do have to acknowledge that the gaming industry, or games in general, are moving towards a lot more online features and online game modes and things like that, more than they are offline, but I don't think that should be an excuse to just not have any offline fun at all. Now, I'm also gonna put an asterisk on this one, because if you guys are in the loop of Mortal Kombat 11's content and what we should be getting, you would know that in the files, we are going to be getting a lot more online modes. We're going to be getting Test Your Strike, Test Your Might, and a lot of the game modes, and Test Your Luck as well. A lot of the game modes that were in Mortal Kombat X that are missing in MK11, they're going to be added back. Thankfully for you offline junkies, and hey, I'm going to be happy about it too, you guys are going to be getting things. So if you're feeling like the game right now is lacking for offline content, don't worry, it's not going to stay that way. Like I said, again, guys, I still think Mortal Kombat 11 is a better Mortal Kombat game than Mortal Kombat X. This wasn't a I hate Mortal Kombat 11 video. It was more of like, hey, I kind of miss the stuff from Mortal Kombat X. There are things in Mortal Kombat X that aren't that bad, and I think they were better done in this game than they were in the next game. Yeah, I think we can find some common ground. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys missed from Mortal Kombat X that is not in Mortal Kombat 11. What are the things that you think Mortal Kombat X did better than Mortal Kombat 11? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a big thumbs up and also subscribe so you never miss a Mortal Kombat video from me. Anyways, I will see you all in the next video.